I've heard it a million times. A common piece of advice that everyone repeats, but is actually wrong. It's the idea that you should always buy and hold, no matter what the market is doing. Just set it and forget it, right? Well, I think that's a recipe for disaster. The truth is, the market can be unpredictable, and if you're not paying attention, you can get caught off guard. Take the SPY, for example. It's currently trading at $750.33, but if you look at the VIX, it's at 16.05, which is a sign of some uncertainty in the market. Here's why that matters. If you're just buying and holding, you might not be prepared for a potential pullback. Now, I'm not saying that the market is going to crash or anything, but I do think that there are some warning signs out there. The Fed is still in a hawkish tone, with a target range of 3.50%-3.75%, and they're not expected to cut rates anytime soon. That's a sign that they're still concerned about inflation, and that could impact the market. The 10-year yield is currently at 4.43%, which is another sign that the market is expecting some more rate hikes. And let's not forget about oil. It's currently trading at $76.7, which is still relatively high. All of these factors combined could lead to some volatility in the market, and that's why I think it's so important to be prepared. Which brings us to the day's top earnings. Adobe just reported, and their revenue is up 13%. That's a great sign, but the stock is still down 16% on the month. What's going on there? I think it's because the market is expecting more growth from these tech companies, and Adobe just didn't deliver. But here's the thing, Adobe is still a great company, and this could be a buying opportunity. Now consider the SOXX, which is a semiconductor ETF. It's been doing well lately, but if you look at the chart, you can see that it's due for a pullback. The USO, which is an oil ETF, is another one to watch. If oil prices do start to fall, that could have a big impact on the market. But there's a catch, you can't just buy and hold these ETFs without doing your research. You need to understand the underlying companies and the factors that could impact the market. That's why I think it's so important to stay informed and to be prepared for any potential pullbacks. And that's exactly the problem. Most people aren't prepared. They're just buying and holding without any strategy or plan. I think that's a mistake, and it's one that could cost you a lot of money. Now, let's have a real debate about this. On the one hand, you could say that the market is due for a correction, and that these pullbacks are a sign of a bigger problem. The bear case is that the market is overvalued, and that we're due for a big crash. On the other hand, you could say that the market is just experiencing some normal volatility, and that these pullbacks are a buying opportunity. The bull case is that the market is still strong, and that these companies will continue to grow and make money. So who's right? I think the truth is somewhere in between. The market is always unpredictable, and you need to be prepared for anything. So what does this mean for your money? I think it means that you need to be careful and that you need to have a plan. If you're looking at the SPY, for example, you might want to consider setting a stop loss at $720, just in case the market does start to pull back. You could also consider buying some puts, just to hedge your position. For the SOXX, you might want to consider setting a stop loss at $420, and for the USO, you might want to consider setting a stop loss at $65. These are just examples, but the point is that you need to be prepared, and you need to have a strategy. And that's exactly what we'll be discussing in our Discord channel, how to navigate these potential pullbacks, and how to make the most of your money. And that's the key, being prepared and having a plan. Nobody saw the 2008 crash coming, but if you had a plan, you might have been able to avoid some of the damage. The same thing is true today. If you're prepared, you might be able to make the most of these potential pullbacks. So join us in our Discord channel where we'll be discussing the market and how to make the most of your money. We'll be going live soon and we'll be sharing our analysis and our strategies. So don't miss out, join us, and let's navigate the market together. Educational only, not financial advice.